Welcome back to the Sip My Thoughts podcast. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. And once again, we got another dope episode today. I was just telling Greg that these are the type of conversations that are pertinent to our communities. And if we don't get this particular knowledge, we can't expect anyone else to give it to us, feel sorry for us. So we got to get this type of knowledge ourselves. And I'm really thankful to have him on. But real quick, I just reached 7,000 downloads, which is, I'm super thankful, super blessed for everyone who's been tuning in, who's been telling a friend, who's telling another friend about the type of content and stories that we're telling over here. The one thing, and again, just for new listeners who this might be their first time listening, this platform has been created to tell our stories. I'm from Mississippi, so I really have a focus on telling Southern Black stories. And I also want to try to bring in the interviews, and I think I've been doing that so far, the type of interviews that can really enrich our experiences. I mean, if you're coming here looking for some gossip or that type of content, I might not be the podcast for you. However, if you're looking for content that's introducing you to Black people that I feel like you should know that we don't know, people who are doing exceptional things in our communities, but news is so focused on, if we're shooting a basketball, the next rapper, and nothing is wrong with that. But I'm going to try to do some educational things over here. I mean, I would be disingenuous if I told you that I didn't listen to rap. Obviously, I'm super into sports, but we're a lot more than that, So for the 7,000 downloads, I mean, everybody who's been tuning in, look, I really appreciate it. And, I'm just on the road to 10K at the moment. But the most important thing about the Sip My Thoughts podcast is to tell Black stories. And that's what I plan on doing. So today I got Greg Brumfield of Financial Knife and Fork. And I really think the type of conversation that we're going to have today, again, is super important because Greg looks into things such as stocks, and he had a really profound tweet that I saw the other night that really, I've already seen some of the content. That stuff can get lost, along the journey of working every day and all that type of stuff. But he tweeted something that was really profound the other night. So we're going to get into that. But first of all, Greg, again, man, I'm super appreciative to have you on.
Thank you, and thank you to your listeners. And the 7,000 downloads, call your mom and them. We need more downloads. We're trying to get to 10K, 15K. Because what this man is doing is awesome.
Look, man, I appreciate it. Look, I'm trying to see. I think I'm not picking up your audio for some reason. Let's see. That's why. Okay, here we go. All right, let's delete that out really quickly. That's my bad. I should have had that together. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. So again, welcome back. Just had a technical difficulty, but we right back. So if you didn't hear what I just said, we have Greg Brumfield on the pod today with Financial Knife and Fork. And again, I really wanted to bring him on the pod because he had a super profound tweet that I saw the other night. And, I just wanted to kind of, get some game from him. Like I'm learning just as you all will be learning today also. So Greg, once again, man, I think we're good. So I appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all. Again, download this man's podcast, 7,000. We're trying to get to 10, 15, 20. Because what this man is doing is awesome.
Hey, I'm totally cool with 10 or 15, 20. Whatever God has for me, I'm with it. So look, I want to get into this tweet that you put up the other night, and I think that'll give people some context about what we're going to discuss. But I really want to share this tweet, so I'm about to read it. So, paid off my home in 3 years, all work, no lottery, no rich family, no big down payment. God provided the knowledge and the blessing to apply it. The deed belongs to me. I had to become financially literate to get here. Why you think I'm so passionate about it? It changed my life. So let's let's break that down, Greg. So tell us a little bit about what you do on a day-to-day basis as far as um, financial knife and fork is concerned, and how did you come up with that name?
That's a great question. I mean, just the first, based off the tweet, is I got the wisdom to have it, like that knowledge, and you got to understand wisdom is going to be better than that blessing you're not ready for. So if you get that big payment and you just so happen, whatever happens in life, you get a monetary um, bag, as we like to say in our community. If you're not ready for it, you're gonna lose it. You got to make sure you have the knowledge for it. But for a financial knife and fork, it was created for that knowledge, for people that look like us, that do just, they're doing the right things, but they don't know how to go further with it, as far as like buying assets and diversifying. So when things happen, you can go to that bucket, or when you get enough money, you can go ahead and do cool shit, because that's what financial literacy allows you to do. I was able to buy my home the other day, and I'm very, very excited about the home I'm sitting in right now. It's a different kind of feeling. And just to say why how I got to it, when you become financial literate, look, you kind of get lit up. You have an energy about yourself. And I was driving my family and friends crazy, and this was more of an outlet that turned into so much more. And on the daily, I'm trying to give out free game, except for Sundays. I take Sunday off, but most of the time, if you see us on our social media feed, it's me trying to give free game and not trying to sell you something.
Definitely. So as far like where did you get your background from? Did you study? Uh, I mean, what did you study in college, or and maybe you got this outside of college also? Like, what really got you just really thinking about financial literacy? Well, first of all, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay. So financial, I mean, obviously, I feel like at that point in our life, we're kind of, it's like our 20s, we're kind of making the mistakes, but I don't feel like financial literacy is just really harped on, through those early stages. Like your 20s, you're finding out about who you are. Uh, you're trying to finish school if school is something that you're doing. So there are so many other things that we know finances are important, but I don't think it's necessarily harped on. So where did your knowledge for that really begin?
And that's a great question of the way you set it up, especially in our community. I will say this: if I started early on, 17, 18 years old, there's no doubt in my mind I'll be a multimillionaire as I talk to you right now. That's like no cap, no bullshit. So I am self-taught in my finances. I am from New Orleans East, born and raised. It's a rough area. You know, to me, my parents were just trying to get me to school and make sure I had that drive to go to college. Now, I went to college, I played ball, but in that same breath, I wasn't going to the NFL. So I was like, you know what? I need to make sure I go with my next plan, which was law school. I ended up going to law school, becoming a lawyer. And nobody understands this unless you're in it. I was literally broker as an attorney than I was as a student. As a student, you get your salary made check, and I can't spend it. When I started working, I was spending like I never had it because I didn't.
Mhm.
So I made all the mistakes. My credit cards were maxed out. I had student loans. I was staying in a place I shouldn't have been paying that much on. And you're just living in this world of debt. And from the outside looking in, your parents and everybody's proud, but like you're literally in the professional world not knowing um, how to handle your finances, and nobody cares to teach you.
Mhm.
And this is not something that's different or any other place in America. If you grow up in the hood, I grew up in a fairly rough neighborhood, and I can go outside and see these different things happen and transpire. But in that same breath, nobody's gonna tell me what a 401k is. Nobody's gonna tell me, how to buy stocks and assets. And that's where it was all coming from. So long story short, when I got out of law school, that was like at the base of the stock market just tanking and then going straight up. I was in survival mode. I didn't trust anything. I didn't know what a 401k was. And I just went out and did it on my own. And it wasn't until a specific event happened in my life that I was able to say, you know what, I can see it now. I can see if I just put the work in and find out what I need to do. From there, I went to Barnes and Nobles, anywhere I could go to find out financial knowledge, and I built it up from there. And I turned my life around, paying off my credit card debt, paying off my cars, and like you mentioned earlier, paying off my house.
So let's talk about that journey along the way. So all of those things was happening to you, and I feel like I feel like everybody experiences this. No one is immune from hardship, and but it's like when you're on the cusp of getting to where you want to be, something just happens and it just destroys all of what you were working on. So you were saying that a specific event happened in your life until you were able to get back to that point. So if you feel comfortable, can you talk a little bit about that incident and how you came out on the other side of it?
Absolutely. So it happened in 2014, and essentially, I was maxed out on my credit cards, which I told you about. So I was taking a trip to London, and when you maxed out, you got to pay your cash. So I ended up paying my flight and I ended up paying my hotel. But the thing is, I needed walking around money. At that point, I had started with my new employer, and the way they did it, they made you put at least 1% in your 401k. And when I tell you I had no extra money, but I wanted to go, I wanted to experience my life. And I said, you know what? I need walking around money. Let me get this $1,500. I only had 3,000 on 401k. They let me borrow half. I got 1,500. So I was probably walking around in London with like $1,800. Long story short, I was supposed to go from London to Paris. Unfortunately, a terrorist event happened in Paris. My family's freaking out, and they're saying, you need to come back. So I had to spend $800 right then and there to get back to the States. What that taught me was I was so assed out. It's not even funny. Say if they would have suspended international travel, I didn't have the money to stay in the hotel. How long that would have been? I would have been over there homeless, not knowing a soul. And when I got there, when I got back to the States, it really made me think, if I just, one, I had only been in the company like 6 months. If I had just put my thought into that 401k and really put effort into it, how much it would grow. And then I never wanted to be in that position again where I'm living paycheck to paycheck and I could be literally on the street somewhere. So that event made me say, okay, I need to turn around my finances and then I need to really put effort into my 401k. From there, I maxed it out. Well, not from there. I at least got the employer match and then started tackling my credit cards.
Definitely. So I think this is another thing, and I mean, this is another lesson that we can all learn from. I feel like, and I'm not saying I don't want to speak for you, but social media has this persona where it shows where everyone just likes to show, I'm living my best life. Things are just amazing. Nothing is going wrong, and it kind of gives you like a false sense of perception because, and I can't speak for you, but I feel like it gives people. It's like everyone wants to keep up with one another. You know what I'm saying? And then life strikes, and then you're really faced with your reality, and then you got to find a way to dig out of that reality that you've kind of created for yourself. So after you created that reality for yourself, you immediately went to go get that knowledge. Talk a little bit about the knowledge that you started to gain, and when did you kind of start seeing things turn around for you? Like, when did you kind of know, like, okay, you know, we're gonna keep building on this. We're gonna keep going. When did things start to turn around for you?
Sure thing. So that event I just told you about, it taught me that I had no assets. Like I literally had no assets. All I had was my bank account, my savings, my checking, and I had a car, but I was upside down on the car note. And what that means is my car note costs more than what the car is actually worth. So you really don't have an asset. So to turn it around, again, I told you I started doing the employer match. And what I did specifically, I had three different credit cards. They're like 27,000, 25 to 27,000. I suspended one card. I ended up taking whatever that minimum payment was and putting it on the other card. And I would just keep it real. I stopped paying the other one. And just so that one didn't, I wasn't paying that one, I was putting everything on one credit card. After maybe 2-3 months, they sent a letter from the card I was not paying and said, "Look, we'll settle with you for $5,200." At that point, my whole life had changed. I was not eating out. I was using coupons. I was doing whatever I had to do to get myself out of a paycheck to paycheck standard. And at that point, I had built up enough money where they were like 5,200. I was like, "Bet." They let me pay it in installments. Even though I owed 13,000, they took 5,200, got that out the way. So from there, every time money freed up, I put it towards whatever liability I had. So once I got my credit cards out the way, I went full fledged into my car, and I ended up moving to Dallas in probably 2016, 2017, and that let me, go without state income tax. I was able to then max out my 401k. I was then able to get another car, and then I ended up paying that car off. My main point in saying all of this is when you get rid of a bill, you got to put that money to work. Okay. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to just start padding my savings, especially if you have a good, comfortable space. Put it to work on whatever other bills you had. So at this point, I'm seeing 2017, I'm seeing me max out my 401k. I'm seeing me max out my IRA, your Roth IRA, which is after taxes. And at that point, now I'm at a good place where I'm ready to start investing. And that's how I literally turned my life around. And it didn't take too long. It took like a year, 2 years. But to answer another question you had, you have to commit to financial learning at that point when you don't have it. So whether that's going to a bookstore and grabbing every magazine you can, taking notes. I was gangster, man. I was taking photos from my phone. I wasn't gonna buy it. That magazine like $12, $15. I'm cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So another thing you can do is use your employer. If your employer has a printer, I will find financial articles online on Yahoo Finance, MSN Finance, articles that were talking about me and my specific situation, anything I wanted to learn about, print it out for free. I would read it on my lunch break. I would read it at home. Use whatever you can, free stuff to move to and take that knowledge and apply it to your own financial situation.
Man, that's dope. That's dope. And, I mean, you got to do what you got to do when when your back is against the wall. You got to figure out a way. So you talked about assets and liabilities, and I was just wondering if you could explain that in a little more depth. I feel like people understand, but you don't want to take for granted that they do understand the difference between assets and liabilities. So from your situation, or not even from your situation, because I feel like you've explained that, but um, let's say from potential clients that you've worked with, what are some of the, I guess I would say, highs and lows, but still kind of pertaining to assets and liabilities? But let's stick with assets and liabilities first. Let's just try to break that down to like the bare minimum for people.
And that's cool. There's no such thing as too simple of a question, especially when you're coming from a race that does not get financial knowledge all the time. And a big thing of why I do what I do, financial advisors, they tend to speak the way they speak in the industry. Most people don't speak finances, so you got to be more simplistic. And I recognize that and I try to break it down. So assets, liabilities, assets in its purest form is this asset, does it have the ability to make money? That's what an asset is for you. So when you're sleeping, can this asset make money? So when you're at work, can this asset make money? And that's stocks, that's your mutual funds, that's your retirement accounts, that's your home. There's a lot of different things that we call an assets, your partnership, your business. A liability is something that is taking money from you and more than likely is not going to make any money. So those credit cards, that's a liability. Those student loans, unfortunately, it's a liability. Any personal loans you have, that's a liability. Those things draw from you and they zap your earning power. Think of how much you can earn per month without having to pay all these extra bills.
Earning power, definitely. So the stock market, I mean, you see a lot of stuff on social media about, well, I'm buying this stock, I'm buying that stock. Well, this stock did this for me while I was sleeping. This stock did that. Well, this stock failed today, and due to the stock exchange, all types of like. I think the little bit that I do know about the stock market is that it can be volatile, but it can also be really rewarding as well. So, stock market. Let's talk about the stock market, and again, just like you did, if you could just try to break it down to the barest, what I'm saying, minimum, and just basically, how do you get into starting investing in the stock market?
Well, the first thing I want to tell people is time in the market. And what that means is start as soon as you feel comfortable doing it. Even if you're not per se, wanting to I don't know, just go to somebody and have them invest for you, whatever. Just time in the market. You just want to make sure you want to start and don't sell before you're ready to sell. It's really a buy and hold game. That's what I preach. And another thing I tell people is don't put your savings in the stock market. That's your money. Your money comes from your paycheck. You want to earn as you go. And the reason why I say that is you want to be a more disciplined investor. So one of the big mistakes I made, especially when I was like, okay, I'm ready to start buying stocks, is I it's volatile. So when it lost a few days, I want to get out of it, and I ended up, selling it before it came back, and then it went on further and further and further. So buying and holding your assets is so important. So if you want to start, I say you want to start with a mutual fund or an ETF. That's what I would have done different, but I started with individual stocks. It's okay, but it's more important to start with doing. If you're in the market, you have an understanding of knowing how stocks move, especially stocks you're accustomed to. For your viewers out there, if you want to take your last 30 days of expenses and see where your money is going, I guarantee you a lot of it is going to public companies you frequent a lot. If you see Target all the time, you're going to be more interested in Target news if you're a Target investor. You're going to see them do innovations. You're going to see them, whether it's packed or not, you're going to see them perform and try to grow their business. So, at base level, when you buy stock, you are entering into a partnership with that company. You're giving them money, and they're pledging you to either pay you a dividend and or get that stock price as high as possible. Okay, and you are using them to grow your stock price and to grow your portfolio, so you can do cool shit all the time. And that's basically what it's all about.
What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to get into the stock market?
Not being a disciplined investor. And that's you want to take all of that away. And that's why I was saying don't use your savings. If you want to put 10,000 in the stock market, as soon as it goes to seven, you might be scarred for life. You may take your money out and never want to mess with it again. And if you had kept that seven in, maybe a year later, it might have been 17. And if you and that's not far fetched. In March 2020, when the market bottomed because of the pandemic, I kept investing, and not only the stocks came back, it came back at a profit, like more than a year later. A lot of my stocks had went up to 50 to 100%. So that helped my portfolio to where I was able to buy different stuff, which we're talking about. So the biggest mistake is not being a disciplined investor and also listening to a lot of different people. So when I started buying stocks, I would read these magazines, like I told you, and these analysts would say, oh, I like this, this, and this. And I would say, yeah, I like this, this, and this too.
Mhm.
But not knowing what the company does, I didn't have a world view. I didn't know when their earnings were. So the big thing is listen to yourself, follow your own investment strategy, develop one. I'm going to buy these set of stocks. I'm not going to buy, 30 stocks. I'm going to buy 5 to 10 stocks if I'm doing individual, and I'm going to keep investing that over time. So your biggest mistake is not being disciplined, keeping your money in, and not using your savings. It's already hectic, so you might as well take as much out of it as you can.
Definitely. And the investment portfolio, that's another term that I've heard, being thrown around. What does and I feel like I know what it is, but I just want to be sure. What does an investment portfolio consist of?
You're right. It's just a fancy ass way of saying how much in your stock trading account.
Got
So
you.
if you want to, if you're out there and you want to buy stocks right now, you just need a stock trading account. You connect it to your bank account, Capital One, Chase, whatever it is. You put $30 in your stock trading account. That $30 is your stock portfolio. That's all it is. So
Oh,
as you put money in over time or gains over time, people say, "Oh, my stock portfolio is doing so good." Yeah, your stock trading account is doing so good. That's a good question.
gotcha. I know that's something that I've heard before. I've heard people throw that around. I've read it on social media, but as someone who hasn't really dabbled into, the stock market and stock trading and things of that nature, I just wanted to be sure. So, what are, in your opinion, what are some of the best stocks to invest in at this particular moment?
So you're going to hear people talk about momentum stocks, and all that means is volume, and that's like where people are buying. So what's the popular sectors? But for me, I like the boring sectors that make money over time. I'm more of an income investor, and what that means is I like when stocks pay me. So
Mhm.
if you buy a dividend stock, like say a specific stock like waste management, I like the waste sector because it's not going anywhere. We have trash, they need to pick it up. No startup's going to interrupt that. I don't think so anyway. So it's a consistent sector. I like waste management, but there are other waste stocks out there. You buy those stocks and they pay you for holding that stock. So if you have 20 shares of waste management every quarter, they're going to pay you however much money on it. This past quarter, it was 58 cents. So for every share you have, so 20 times 58 cents. And I use that money and then I buy more stocks. I can't tell you how many more shares of stock I bought from dividends and not my own money. So this past month, I got almost $1,000 in dividends. You got to pay your taxes. Don't get me wrong. You got to think of that in your head. But after that, you can do whatever you want with that money. You want to buy some shoes, you want to buy whatever. But I buy more assets. Answer your question directly. I like the waste sector. I like tech as far as Google, Amazon, Apple. You can't go wrong with those. I mean, you can pick and choose, but they're they have a lot of money. They're solid, and to me, they are going to be there in 10 years from now. So you want to have a horizon kind of approach. So is this stock that I'm investing in? How's it going to be performing 10 years from now? Is my money safe there?
Mhm. Okay, okay. I didn't hear you mention marijuana, and marijuana seems to be booming at this particular moment. I think the interesting thing about marijuana though is that they try to it's like they are allowed to invest, but it's like they try to find ways to keep black folks, basically. They're trying to find a way to keep black folks out of a market that they are benefiting off of, based off of the amount of black men and black women, and brown people as well, who are in jail for these types of things. So, what do you think about marijuana as far as investing goes?
I do hold marijuana stocks. I hold CJC. I used to hold Tilray, and it's another one I can't think of. But as far as the cannabis industry, yeah, it's something on the fringes. It's just like cryptocurrency. It's like, will this become mainstream? So it's extremely volatile. And one of those things I didn't want to bring up. I don't want to bring up a volatile sector. So again, you don't want to get in and then you go on a roller coaster and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So it's
Yeah.
going up and down. It's boomed. It's been high. It's been low. And right now it's kind of like at a low point. But if it has momentum where it'll get legalized federally, the floodgates are open. So you want to as an investor, you want to put yourself in the best position of profit. So those kind of things are like growth stocks. And what that means is you expect this stock to grow and their stock price to grow really, really high. So if it's $10 today, you think it might be $90, in the future. So that's what you're looking for. So you got to be patient with those kind of stocks. I have those. I'm not looking at them every day. I'm just in position to profit if it takes off, and that's so important. So more people like us are more retail investors. So that's how we get a chance to buy the market. I'll talk to anybody, any follower, including you, if you want to talk more about it. Your goal, you want to become an accredited investor. So what you're talking about is people getting in on the company level before it even hits the stock market, and then they profiting for real. So you want to become an accredited investor, and that's something a little bit more complicated. I don't mind talking about, but I know that's not your question.
Oh no, let's get to the meat and potatoes for sure.
Hey,
Like
let's go, man. Let's tell the people. It's
yeah,
an accredited investor. You can do it one or two ways. All right. So if you yourself is making over 200,000, I believe it's for 2 years straight, you're an accredited investor, and then it's amount of assets for the B side of it. You and your spouse, if you're married, if you have a certain amount of assets, you're an accredited investor. That gives you access to talk to investment banks. I'm not saying that they will, because it's really hard to get into, but that's when you hear angel investors, when you hear people getting in on funding rounds. I'm trying to think. Jay-Z has a Monogram, right? It's a cannabis company. They do funding rounds, and people get in on that because they're accredited investor, and those are institutions and people. So if you get to that level and you get a chance to get in the right rooms, you may be able to invest before it even hits the stock market. So you want to, I mean, the reason why you do this, you want to have assets and become an accredited investor, and that's something you can get to relatively easily, I think.
okay. Man, yeah. Let's I'm definitely into getting down to the nitty gritty of all this because you know I feel like these types of platforms. I feel like you see stuff on social media and it's fleeting, and it can be super important. If you don't favorite it, you might forget where I saw it. Um, Damn, I wish I had I had a favorite so I could come back to it and check it out. So, yeah, this type of conversation and information is the stuff that I really want to get to our people because you have so many other people outside of the community trying to teach you about this type of stuff, but you don't necessarily know the intentions. So this is definitely the platform where I feel like people will really tune in and listen and try to get this game that you're giving out because uh, it's definitely important. So investing, I see that there's a lot of investing on social media now. Like certain apps and things like that that people use. Trade stocks, buy stocks. Um, is that a hindrance in been trying to become an investor, or what's what is there an actual method for buying stocks, investing, trading, things of that nature, or is it just specifically through the banks?
No, I mean, it's a good question. You can go and have different stock trading apps. And I think we're heading to a place where, the reason why cryptocurrency and DeFi was created was to cut the banks out of it. So if you want to go straight to their institutions, sometimes they do have a mechanism where you can buy straight from them. You can buy directly from the company. But right now, it's a whole lot easier to get a stock trading app and just open your app and start buying stuff. For me, I have an investment strategy. I use my dividends every month, so it comes in on the 15th to the 17th, and once it's all allotted, I'm using that middle of the month paycheck. When you got another check coming, you can pay the bills and all that other stuff to figure out what kind of stock I want to buy. And it's not done that day. Like I know what I'm going to buy 15 days ahead of time, so I just try to come up with a schedule. Anytime I had extra money, sometimes I would throw it in the market, but I just wanted to make sure I was on a schedule and I was disciplined, and that's going to get you further than you just throwing money at the wall.
When you give out game on Twitter, for an example, do people how do people are they actively trying to get the financial literacy that you're giving out? I mean, I see you dropping game and stuff all the time, and I just wonder, are people really hitting you up? Like other than social media, are there other places that you give out this game as well? Like, do you offer like a course? Are you doing like public speaking events and things like that?
I would
How are
love
you?
to do public speaking. I've done a lot of cool stuff since doing this, and one of the things is doing interviews. I love doing interviews to talk more about this to our people. Any kind of public speaking I'm with. Two, I made a free course. It's on our YouTube channel, Financial Knife and Fork, and I'm gonna probably pin it up again. One of the things that really pisses me off is people that look like us using this as a revenue stream to sustain themselves. It's like, well, bro, you're not really making money on the market. You're making money off some course you're selling. And half the time, you know, I'm not trying to be an elitist. You're not an accredited investor. You're just some person out there giving advice, and that's okay. But you know, you specifically, like, there's this one account on Instagram, and it's a beginner's course, and this lady's selling it for $500. I'm like, you know what you can do with $500, especially if you're a beginner. I think we got to. One of the reasons why I'll keep doing this, and I'm passionate about it. I just don't want the snakes to continue to bleed our community when we need help. To answer your first question, I got a whole spectrum, bro. Like a whole spectrum of people that'll come with. In the beginning, it was more of, what do you know, which I respect that. I had to earn that kind of trust. But throughout the time, it's been a spectrum of people just beginning. I've been getting a lot of moderate people, which I love, like people that look like you and me that have been investing for years. And then I've got some high income people saying, hey, man, I got this and this coming in. Um, what would you do or something like that. So it's good because I get to see black people doing well and they don't want to talk about it. And I can get that. It's an actual fear to talk about the things you're able to do. And I give them an avenue and a space where they can talk about the stocks they like and they can talk about what they're doing. And then seeing success stories and Aspire, there was a follower, she's okay with me retweeting it. Her grandfather back in the 80s had bought like thousands of shares of Disney for her. So that girl said, man, Disney's going to be a $200 stock. Like she said, and those are the type of things you can aspire to. So when you have kids and generational stuff, it's there. And that's the big thing I want to talk to black people about. What you buy, your stocks are transferable. Like when you go, you can give it to your family. You don't have to just give them the house. You can give them so much more where they set up and able to get them. They're about at the apple of life.
Yeah. I think what's dope about that, and just in general, and one thing that we really have to get out of, black folks, we have to realize that, yeah, there are some outliers in our community, specifically the athletes, the rappers, and maybe those who just come up with some crazy invention, or they get in the industry that pays them like exponential dollars. Like I'm talking about the type of money that can provide generational wealth. And I feel like sometimes we try to withhold gain from one another. And that's bothersome to me because it's like it only takes one incident or for your job to lay you off. And unless like you have your money in a certain place, you're financially safe. Like you've done all of the right stuff with your money that 9 times out of 10 most of us do not do. Even though we're in these high paying industries, even like the athletes, the common athlete is broke. I think there's a stat that says between 5 to 7 years after their playing career is over because they end up investing in some of the wrong stuff, and people messing over their money, and then they're left with nothing. So I think one of the things that we really have to get out of is withholding gain from one another, especially because we don't have generational wealth. There was an NBC News story that I saw, and I think I just saw one recently. Like they tell us to go to college and get these degrees, and you're gonna get these good paying jobs. But that's not working out for black folks. It's working out for white people, though. You know what I'm saying? They're the one that's getting these jobs, and then we get out of school and we end up in debt. So what you're doing and the type of game that you're giving, you know what I'm saying? You're not charging people for it. Like that's the type of stuff that we need. Obviously, you gotta live. You gotta make your money also at the end of the day. But one of the things that I really feel like we need to get out of also is withholding gain from one another, because that only our community is already behind. And according to these certain statistics, it's like we can't catch up. So that's one thing. I forgot what my question was. I went off on a tangent.
Well, let me say something real quick, man, because you're right on point. The followers that you have that are listening, just go on YouTube and look up Netflix racial wealth gap. It'll make you sick. because it's decades apart. So I think the best thing we can do is not so much on a mass scale, on your own micro scale. What can you do? And that's you um, making yourself and your family having developing generational wealth. And you can do that through home ownership. You can do that through assets, through stocks, and you do that through your retirement. You do those things, you can exponentially affect your family more than you know just doing that.
Definitely. And I just remember my question. In your tweet the other night, you were saying, uh, and I think this applies to all of us. Like we don't come from a silver spoon. We don't come from a place to where our parents and even their parents were able to put aside some exponential amount of money to really set us up for the lives that we want to live as well. How do your parents and how does your family in general feel about you know I mean, you just accomplished something big. That's something that we all want to do. Home ownership is something that's big in our community, but not a lot of us are allowed to achieve. So, how does your family feel about this achievement that you just made? And are they asking you for game as well?
100%. So when I started this channel, they want to support, and then it just starts that conversation. Well, what stock should I buy? I mean, as proud as I am of the house, I'm more proud of my mom buying a mutual fund like 2 months ago. She finally got a chance to say, you know what, I'm gonna listen to you and put 5,000 in this or whatever it was in this mutual fund, and I'm gonna continue to feed it. I'm gonna I'm gonna work on my compound interest. And compound interest, real quick for the people out there, is the gains you get throughout the day when you're sleeping, kind of like we talked about before. But your compound interest, your gains are going to be higher on 6,000 than 5,000. So it's important to keep feeding it. So as my mom told me the other day, she was just like, "You've exceeded everything I've ever thought you would do," and that touched me in such a way. But I was just like, I still got a lot more to do. I'm still a lot more accomplished, and still a lot more I want to impact people. So they're happy. They're already started the dialogue, but now they're starting to tell some friends, and I'm like, y'all remember I'm doing this for free. I got stuff to do.
Right, right. They put it to work, man. That's the real world application is the dopest thing about this. And again, you were at a place to where your backup was against the wall, and you had to figure it out. You had to figure out a way, and I really think that that's super dope. Like in order to get to where you are, and you're only 35, so you have so much more to do.
It didn't
What's
take long, bro.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I'm just saying it didn't take long for anybody out there. It didn't take long. As far when you ready to investment and then you're able to get that ball rolling, you'd be shocked how fast everything adds up.
okay. Tell the people a little bit about your YouTube channel, the type of content that you do. Um, yeah,
Cool, man. I started a YouTube channel, Financial Knife and Forth. We've uploaded a lot of videos. One, I everything I talked about, I put it into a step process. I did 12 steps to financial freedom, towards financial freedom, stuff that helped me. I know how I started and the pitfalls I encountered. So I just put that out there for free. I started with my 401k, then I went to the IRA, emergency savings, and then now you're ready to invest. I think retirement is so important because you got to remember it is still your money. So just because, say you have $10,000 and 5,000 in your retirement account, you still have $10,000. It doesn't take away from that. And when you get in the jam and when these things happen, same thing, the incident I told you all about, you can draw from your future. The money you invest in your future is your money. You can get that money, and then it's a loan, but you're paying yourself back. So that's why I always tell people to start with that 401k. Because if you're so enamored with your emergency savings, I've seen it happen before. You're just looking at it, and now you're thinking that's your retirement, and it's really not. Because something you said that was very impactful. You are a medical emergency away. You are firing away from all kinds of chaos happening in your life, and you got to be so diligent and intentional about having assets in different places and making sure you're diversified. So when you want to do something that's generational, you can draw from all that and then pay for it. But that's what kind of game I'm giving out on YouTube and giving out on Twitter, financial underscore KF. and on Instagram, Financial 944. So we always post out free stuff. I tell people what I'm doing each and every month, the stocks I invest in, the dividends I use to buy more. So come holler at me.
Man, I think that's dope. I think again, I think this type of conversation is invaluable. Like this is the stuff that you don't hear about every day, you don't see every day. So like I said, that's why I reached out to you because I'm learning just like everybody else who's gonna tune in and listen to this as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not I know about the stock market and trading and stuff like that, but I haven't actually put my feet in the water and actually tried to do it. So um, I definitely think the game that you've given out, how you started, and I think that's the most important thing as well because people are going buy these courses from folks and you have no idea, you know what I'm saying, like where they got their knowledge from. Is there a real world application to where you know they were down to their last and then they went and got it? This is the type of stuff, like you are the type of person who is doing this type of work that people will have a healthy I feel like they have a healthy relationship as far as, okay, he detailed this, he went through this, and this is how he got out of it. That is the most important thing that I feel like people are looking for, authenticity, when providing this information. Because if anybody can sell you something, you know what I'm saying? But if they can't tell you how they got it, and the steps to get there, like you just outlined, I think this type of information is super invaluable, man. So if there is anything else you want people to know, to learn from you, anything else, any other game that you got for the people, you can give it right now.
Absolutely. To everybody out there that's listening, you want to get to a point. One of the things that I love about my channel, you want to get to a point where if you want to have a conversation with a financial advisor, you want to hire one, you're going to be able to have a very intelligent conversation. You got to remember you are the CEO of your finances. Nobody else is going to care about your money more than you do. You can go to the advisor, you can go to your mom and them. They got their own finances, they got other clients. You need to be able to know what they're doing and be able to say, okay, why are you doing this with my money? And maybe to a point where you're like, you know what? I think I know what I'm doing. I have a good knowledge base. I think I can start going without on my own. So you having that option of freedom to talk to people and to understand why certain people are doing certain things with your money. But the main important thing is you CEO of your finances, 80, 90 years old, you're gonna really, really appreciate setting yourself up for your life and hopefully your family's life if you're in a generational wealth like me.
I think the most important thing here, obviously everything that's covered today, super important. But like you just said, you are the CEO of your finances, and that stuck with me. So, because I
You the
definitely
CEO, brother.
I need
You
to do better.
CEO. You
I,
get
I
you like
yeah,
you a mogul, man. Like you got your media thing going, and when you know when money comes in, you're gonna know what to do with it, and that take your time. And anybody else is listening to, same thing. You know money's coming. You got to stay committed. But when it's coming, you got to know what to do with it. And for you, my brother, when you're whatever you want to do pops off, take your time. You don't have to jump in the market, but you need to know where to put your money. So you got a lot of money coming in. I can put it in retirement. I can put it in my mutual fund, and then I can get the stocks.
yeah. Hey, well, I'm definitely gonna reach out to you.
That's all good, man. Anytime.
I'm definitely gonna reach out to you when I get there. And I think another one that you reached out to me. Um, you reached out to me a while back, and you kind of let me know. You DM'd me on Twitter, and you let me know what it was that you're doing. And I think I subscribed to your YouTube, but if I didn't, I'll go check to make sure. I'm definitely gonna do that. But I appreciate that because it's just a little stuff. Like podcasting is now an industry. It's like $1 billion industry now, and you know, you kind of encounter like strange situations that shouldn't be strange. But people feeling like they don't want to collab with you and stuff like that. It's not that big of a deal, but I feel like our community isn't in a point to where we could be withholding game, being jealous of one another, no matter what industry you're in. So even though you're in finances, you still reached out to me and you let me know what it was that you were doing. And obviously I'm a little late to the party just now getting you on, but I mean we still made it. So that's the biggest thing about it. Like, you know, giving one another a platform and learning from one another. That's all I'm about, man. I'm just about my people. That's what this platform is for.
100%. Let's work, bro. Because
Yeah,
you don't know how many people I know. You don't know. I don't know how many people you know. We can just connect on whatever, and that just serves for everybody else out there listening. Be creative. We can help each other reach the goals a whole lot faster.
definitely. Look, man, I appreciate it. This has been another episode of the Sip My Thoughts podcast. Got some good games today. Financial literacy is definitely important in our community. Something that we don't talk about enough. Your parents bring you along and they tell you a little bit about money, but they're only telling you about money from their perspective. Times have changed. We now have to get, hip to what's going on today, how the best uses and services for our money to make our money grow. Again, we're trying to get to a place to where our money is making money for us while we're sleeping. That is the pinnacle of growing to generational wealth and eventually getting there. So, you won't have to get up and work for somebody else every day and build somebody else's dream. You know what I'm saying? In the process of not necessarily giving your own dream enough attention as you should. So, again, Greg, I thank you so much for coming on, bro. Financial fork and knife and fork. I'm sorry. Um, Subscribe to him on Twitter, Financial Knife and Fork, YouTube. Also, you're getting good game over here at the Sip My Thoughts podcast. So keep tuning in. Tell a friend and tell another friend. Uh, Subscribe to me on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Find us. We giving out game and we learning. We learning also. I definitely don't know everything, so I bring guests like Greg up in order to get some game as well. So, hey, thank y'all for tuning in. Until next time, it's been your boy, Greg. I appreciate you, bro.
Oh man, I had a great time, man. Awesome time, brother.
Man, hey,
Really.
I learned a lot for real, for real.
Hey,
Like,
and that's what it's all about, bro. Because everybody was in the same spot, and they don't want to say it. And as black men, dog, like we just talk the front, and I mean, it's kind of like a disease almost. We're not as valuable when we don't have money. Women don't. It's a feeling that women don't respect us as much because we don't have what we need to be at. So we got to make it look more than what it is.
Exactly.
And whole time we ain't got assets. We rent. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? We rent our cars or whatever the case may be. You gotta get some assets, man, and
Definitely.
the way we need to.
Hey, I'm glad we could finally connect. And like I said, I was definitely late connecting with you. Shit, man, this last year has been a whirlwind for me for real. But
It's the pandemic, dog. Like this shit crazy, dog. And I don't know where you live at, man, but I'm in Texas. These like they don't want to wear masks and shit. I'm in Dallas.
I'm in Dallas too.
Oh, where? What part?
Yeah. I live out by the airport.
Oh, cool. Like Love or DFW?
Great. DFW.
Okay, cool. Man, I'm out in McKinney. I'm out in
Okay.
basically like by Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, man? That's dope, bro. I didn't even know. We could have did it. We could have did like an in-person one.
Yeah. Damn, I should have asked. I didn't know. I didn't know. I don't know where I thought you were from. I don't know why I thought you were in Georgia or something. Yeah.
Nah, but I've been here since like 2016.
Yeah, I just got out here. Shit, I got out here right before the pandemic in August of 2019.
Oh, that's what's up, man. I think you said you were from Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Right about 55. I love it.
Uh-huh.
You go to like Jackson State or something like that?
I went to Tougaloo.
Yeah.
You're
right. Cool.
Yeah, I went to Tougaloo and Ole Miss.
Oh, that's what's up, man. You look like you play ball. That's what I was gonna ask you.
I played baseball.
Okay.